Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Wednesday, November the 12th. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Mr. Brian.
All aboard! Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Yes, it's Chicago Junction, being the radio program that is everything that is a railroad. Now here's our boss, the head of the Windy City Hometown Radio Network, as well as being the chief electrical engineer, Mr. John DeVita.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Wednesday, November the 12th. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now, to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Brian.
Now, once again, sit back, take a ride in your coach seat, and listen to our host with the most, Mr. Jack Red Ryan.
This thing working? Yeah, the most what, Brian?
I can't say that.
You know, whatever. Thanks for the great build-up. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. Everyone who's listening, we're happy to be here. We always have a good time. We hope you enjoy. We're recording this on the Tuesday evening, the 11th of November, 2014, which means it's Veterans Day. Veterans Day, we're saluting everyone, and you know, it used to sound like people were exaggerating as to how much we owe our armed forces, but the more and more as time goes by, we realize that, well, not everybody out there loves us. I don't know if it's jealousy, envy, out hatred, but there are people in the world who just as soon cut an American's throat as look at him. And today we pay respect and pay honor to those who served, those who gave their time, and those who did the ultimate and gave their life in protecting and our country, our way of life, our people. And one other thing, we're going to depart right just a little bit from our usual format, just a little something in honor of our veterans, in honor of our country. We're going to play a recording. This is done down at South Bend, Indiana, before every Notre Dame football game. It's a very powerful reading of the preamble to the Constitution, accompanied by America the Beautiful. You got that ready, John? Start over. Why don't you start that over?
By their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Please join us now in the singing of America the Beautiful.
Thank you, veterans, from all of us. And right here we have, in the panel, we have 3 veterans. John DeVita, Army. Kevin Berry, Army. Brian Valu, Navy man, right?
Hoorah.
So, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm your token swab jockey.
And for the record, yesterday was the birthday of the United States Marine Corps.
239 years old.
Started out with a steak and a beer.
Heavy on the beer.
Didn't they wear some kind of protective gear around their neck at one time made of leather, too?
When the I guess it was 1812.
War of 1812?
Well, not the War of 1812, when they were fighting the pirates in Tripoli.
Right.
In Morocco, what they did was put a leather band around their necks to protect themselves from the sabers.
Mm-hmm. And that's the origin of the leatherneck.
Correct.
And there's the Marines have a very unique design to their headgear, their service cap. There's a knot embroidered into the top of it so that when the snipers were up in the rigging, they didn't shoot their own by accident.
Oh.
That is correct.
Friendly fire is always a problem, isn't it?
Unfortunately.
And in addition to being our own Veterans Day, which, by the way, started out as Armistice Day, did we say that earlier? Or not? No.
No.
Okay, that was, for you young folks listening, the end of World War I. It was on the cessation of all hostilities, no more shooting, no more fighting, after the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. That was supposed to be the end of it. And, of course, that was the war to end all wars. As we know, it didn't work out that way. So I can remember I was in grade school, probably 2nd or 3rd grade, when it was changed to Veterans Day. It has been ever since.
1954, if I remember correctly.
That'd be right. That'd be about right, yeah. I remember Mrs. Curtin telling us all about that. And around the same time that Under God was added to the pledge, around the same time. And in addition to our own Veterans Day, and the end of because of the end of World War I, Poland marks this as their kind of like their 4th of July, because Poland for years, maybe a couple of 100 years, had been partitioned as not one country. Part of it was Russia, part of it was either Prussia or Germany after the formation of the German Empire, or from the different states, and part was Austria-Hungary. So after World War I, there was an independent Poland. Of course, that lasted, well, until 1939, when they were attacked from the west by Nazi Germany, the east by Soviet Russia. And to this day, in Poland, they talk about World War II as the war they lost twice. So, because the liberators came in and kept them. So, anyway, let's get on with the show. Here's on with our panel. Starting, of course, on my left today. We'll start on my left. I have an aversion to starting anything on the left, but Brian Valu, our announcer, and not just our announcer, panel member, founding member.
That is correct. We celebrated our anniversary last month.
Yeah.
And thank you for reminding. Yeah, I'm a retired Navy chief and railroader, and I represent numerous rail organizations of my varied interest.
Okay, Dave Darushka.
Yes, the group's token leftist.
Good, we need one. As long as it's a loyal one. What is your background in railroad? Can you tell everybody?
A retired locomotive engineer with four different railroads. Mm-hmm. Currently enjoying retirement. Coming here once a month for good times and good laughs.
Good. We're glad to hear that. We all enjoy that. And the next to my right, Kevin Berry.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Well, let's hear about your your interests.
Well, I've always been in love with trains since I got my first one as a wee kid, and before that, when my mom would take the family down to the Museum of Science and Industry, and I would just stay there as long as I could at the train layout and watch the trains, and it didn't bother me that they were Atlas they were trains.
Okay. Didn't you go to see the U-505 either?
The U-505 was nice to see, but I was really in love with trains. My mom worked for the Rock Island.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister worked for the B&O.
I hear the Rock Island line is a mighty good line.
That's what Johnny Cash said.
Whoever sang it, is he the one first or whatever? Doesn't matter. Okay.
Hank Snow.
Hank Snow?
Probably.
Mm-hmm. You can find a lot of this on YouTube, the original recordings too.
Probably Jimmy Rogers, too.
Yeah, Jimmy Rogers. Okay, what do we got on? Anybody got anything on the plate they want to talk about? Who wants to start today?
Well, we got the holidays coming up.
Yes,
we
sir.
started talking about it last month.
Mm-hmm.
I was up at the Chicago Botanic Garden today. Got everything. We're starting to set up for the Winter Wonderland, which will be the indoor G-gauge layout and the view of Chicago, which opens November 28th and goes to January 4th in 2015. We have the Brookfield Zoo is going to have their holiday train magic. The LGB Club of Chicago will be working with them to set up the trains, and they will be going from the weekend starting December 6th and 7th, the 13th and 14th, the 20th and 21st, and then from the every day from the 26th to the 31st. And it'll be starting at 4 o'clock in the evening, going to 8:30 p.m.
Okay, what kind of train is this?
These are the G-gauge trains.
Mm-hmm.
The layout will be set up showing the lights and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to ride one of the trains from the Brookfield Zoo,
There you go.
On the 6th and 7th and 13th, 14th at the Heston Steam Museum in Indiana, close to New Buffalo.
LaPorte too?
Yeah, in LaPorte, but very close to New Buffalo, right on the Michigan-Indiana border.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be running the Candy Cane Express, and one of the Brookfield one of the old Brookfield Zoo locomotives runs out there now in the cars, and be able to have hot chocolate, cookies, and visit Santa. He'll be there in his magic caboose.
What dates are those again?
That will be the 6th and 7th, 13th and 14th of December.
Now, do they book very heavily? Or?
No, they're not booked. They don't take reservations. They come and they will serve everybody that comes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they work in conjunction with the Toys for Tots with the U.S. Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do bring a toy unwrapped and put it in the box, they get a free train ticket.
Oh.
And let's see. We have also in the town of Waterman, will be the Waterman and Western Railroad will be running their holiday lights trains. They have like a 14-inch gauge railway, and the train's actually fixed up with lights. And in fact, around the property is over 250,000 lights.
Where's this
And
again?
figures.
I'm sorry. What town was that?
It's Waterman, Illinois.
Walterman?
Yeah. Now, you can go to the website to get the directions there, and it's at petestrain.com.
That's easy to remember.
Right. The train opens on November 29th, and it'll be every weekend after that till Christmas. And actually, it starts on December 5th, which is a Friday. That's when Santa arrives. And every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in December, the kids get to meet Santa Claus. There'll be free hot chocolate and popcorn.
Okay.
And they sell some really good fudge.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I love fudge.
Oh, they got some great fudge. Now, besides that, there'll be a train layout at Navy Pier with their Winter Wonderland there. Of course, the John Hancock building always has a tremendous train layout display overlooking the ice skating rink, or when you want to go down and eat at the Cheesecake Factory. The conservatory in Lincoln Park have usually a couple loops of trains running around in there, and several of the other stores and restaurants do downtown. So if we find out more, I'll put it out in the next program.
Does Douglas Park, do anything on the west side? That's a big conservatory.
I could not tell you that.
Okay, we don't know yet. Okay.
Now, Morton Arboretum normally did it in December, but they're changing it this year to January.
Oh, they okay.
So the Morton Arboretum won't be happening until mid-January. So we can talk about that later.
We'll talk about that next year.
Yes. Or at the end of the year.
But whichever comes first.
Mm-hmm. And that's it for now.
Okay. Who's up? Doug? Dave?
Dave.
Doug's not here.
Dave.
Dave's
not here. November 23rd, this is a Duneland Model Railroad Club swap meet in Michigan City, Indiana, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the NECA IBEW Community Service Center, 301 East 8th Street, Michigan City. Admission is $3 for adults, $1 for youth 6 to 13, and free for children under 5. November 29th and 30th, Model Train Show and Sales Swap Meet at the Lake County Fairgrounds, 889 South Court Street, Crown Point, Indiana, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Admission $5 for adults, under 18 free. December 7th, Will County Model Railroad Association Semi-Annual Swap Meet, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Stone City Post, 2199 Veterans of Foreign Wars, 127 Stone City Drive, Joliet, Illinois. Admission is $3, under 12 free with a paying adult. And then for some excursions, I'll do another train show December 14th. The Great Midwest Train Show, 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the DuPage County Fairgrounds, 2015 Manchester Road. Wheaton, Illinois. Admission is $7 for adults. Kids under 12 are free. Holiday excursions, December 6th and 7th and 13th and 14th. Happy Holiday Railway, 10:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Illinois Railway Museum. 7000 Olson Road, Union, Illinois. Special fair event. No passes honored these days. For more information, go to www.irm.org. December 6th, 7th, 13th, 14th, 20th, and 21st. The Polar Express at the Fox River Valley Trolley Museum, Route 31, South Elgin, by reservation only. And you can make those reservations at www.foxtrolley.org. So, I think that's it for me.
That's all close up there, those last ones especially.
Yeah.
And we're familiar with those. We've talked to those people before.
I forgot to mention one last train. If people were traveling up to Michigan, in the town of Owasso, the first 3 weekends in December, they are running the Polar Express with Pierre Marquette number 1225, which was the Berkshire-type locomotive, a 284. That was the basis for the Polar Express.
Oh, for real?
When they made the movie, they sent a film crew up there, and they ran that engine to go just right, so that way when they drew it up to put it on the movie screen.
Now, this is what town again?
Owasso.
Owasso. Is that lower Upper Peninsula or?
No. It's just east of Lansing.
Okay.
And they run the Polar Express where they up to where Santa's Village is and everything. They can come on back.
Very good.
But they'll do it for the next 3 weekends.
The one thing I noticed is I'm the least knowledgeable of anyone here. I've always admitted that, but the more I've read and the things you've given me and the guys you're talking about, there are so many places out there. I mean, just some we don't even know about, I'm sure. But I mean,
I could take you to you go to a couple places down in Indiana, in Indianapolis. Applied Imagination puts together a wonderful another G-scale layout in the conservatory down there, plus the wonderful display they have in the Children's Museum.
Yeah,
and then they have a beautiful Holiday Junction at Cincinnati Union Terminal in Cincinnati in the Museum Center, And on the bottom floor, they've got various layouts. And what is interesting, and a company is still in existence from the turn of the last century called Carlisle and Finch.
That's from the 19th to the 20th century.
Yeah, from the 20th century.
Yeah.
We're talking early
100
1900s.
100 and some years ago.
Over, and this company here actually made trains themselves, two rail, to compete with the Lionel and American Flyer that were being made in the standard gauge. But what Carlisle and Finch did, which they're noted for, is they're the ones that perfected the miniature lights for Christmas trees.
Really little.
Yeah, the miniature lights on Christmas trees, taking the place of the candles.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah.
Made
And-
Christmas a whole lot more enjoyable and a lot safer.
But,
Yeah.
but
Well, I don't know. What's
by
nothing like a
by-
Christmas tree catching on fire?
But
Kept
by coming up with that Christmas tree light, they came up with the lights for the locomotives.
Aha.
But
A
they
byproduct.
they have a gentleman there who collected Carlisle and Finch, sets up a layout there running the original Carlisle and Finch equipment. So we're talking about trains that are running that are over 100 years old.
Sure. I know prior to that little Christmas tree light you're talking about, I guess the fire department was running all night long back and forth, and because you put a candle, even if it's balanced on pine or what are they, spruce, these nice
Right.
turpentine-laden plants, what you're going to have in no time, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had ways. They probably had a lot of protection. There wasn't as many fires as we thought there'd be.
Yeah, but
Still, yeah.
it's kind of like playing Russian roulette to me. I don't know.
Yeah, Thomas Edison, when he made that light bulb, he made the world a hell of a lot safer in a lot of ways.
Sure did. I remember even as a kid now, we used to get these mimeographed pages to color in grade school, and they still had Christmas trees with candles
Yeah.
on them, I was like, what in the world is this? I remember.
That's why they made lights that look like candles. I always liked the ones my grandmother had, though. She had the one where they bubbled.
Yeah,
Hey, what?
Oh,
They bubble.
lights.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
lights.
yeah.
my grandmother had a few of those, I remember. I have a few little things
Speaking
to
of you,
throw
Kevin,
in.
what do you have for us?
I was informed this morning that the Lakeshore and Calumet Model Railroad Club, which occupies a goodly portion of the basement of Calumet Park House at 98th and Crelly, 95th Street at the lake, is having an open house on the 5th, 6th, and 7th of December. Unfortunately, today being Veterans Day, the park was closed. I couldn't get any hard information as to times or fees, but I'm sure you can call the park house and they can give you the information.
Then we'll get a hold of Railroad Joe.
I was also informed about a week ago that the Midwest High Rail Modular Club now has a new permanent home in Griffin, Indiana. So when we meet next time, I hope to have better information on that. And my home club, the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club, will have their Christmas open houses on the first two Saturdays in December, the 6th and the 13th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And they're doing something a little different this year. The chief engineer of the North Pole and Snowflake will be there in the prescribed seasonal uniform for photographs with the kids. And we're asking parents to bring their own camera and take their own photos of their children with Santa Claus. And it just brings the cost of everything down just a little bit.
No, wait.
And appearing over my shoulder are the old-style Christmas lights.
Yeah, with the bubbles, right? Look like candles.
With the boobles, yes.
Now, Kevin.
Bubbles.
Kevin, now, we got to get modern. You say people should bring their own camera. Bring your own telephone, remember? Telephone, now you can take the pictures, right?
Camera, telephone. If you're lucky enough to have a mini pterodactyl and slate, bring your Fred Flintstone iconographer.
There you go. Or some kind of a medieval monk. Whatever works, right?
Only you would bring a monk into Christmas.
A monk into Christmas. Sounds like an interesting title.
I don't know. He was a pretty good cop.
Monk. Okay, what do we got? What else? You had something on the New York? Did you say on the reader?
Oh,
The Red Eye.
The Red Eye ran an article, and it was actually August 20th edition of the Red Eye on the Blazing the 606, which is the project to convert that above ground section of rail track on the west side of Chicago into a walking area and running area. And when it is completed, it will run from Ashland on the east to Ridgeway on the west. Approximately 2.7 miles. And it's actually a quite lengthy article in the Red Eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a former Milwaukee Road freight line.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was Milwaukee Road. It actually, at one time, it did have passenger service when it first opened up, and then it was grade level. Then it was elevated, and it became a freight line.
I know on the far south side there is an abandoned, it was abandoned rail right-of-way that's been paved over and is now a walking trail, bicycle trail. It crosses 127th Street near Wallace and runs on a northwesterly angle.
It's a former Panhandle, Pennsylvania Panhandle line.
Okay, I
That's
wanted to
called
say
the
it was
Major Taylor Bike Trail.
I wanted to say it was Penn Central because that's what I remember seeing run on it when I was working that police district a short century ago.
You can go from the Dan Ryan Woods all the way to Forest Preserve, just over the Calumet River, near Acme Steel. Although I wouldn't recommend it for the faint of heart. It goes to some pretty rough parts of town. I've walked the path and
Keeps you moving.
I've walked the path, and when you get past a certain point, it's basically broken glass everywhere. You wouldn't want to ride your bike down there. I actually heard one of the there's a group of bikers in Beverly, bicyclists, that went down there, and one of them was attacked.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a nice idea, but the neighborhood just doesn't support it, obviously.
I didn't say I endorsed it. I just said it was there.
Well, that's what Sir Edmund Hillary said. That's why he climbed Everest, right?
It was there.
Because it was there.
Yeah.
So, okay. Anybody else right now before we're going to have to go to break pretty soon?
Yeah, let me throw a couple things in here. I was at the Black Hawk chapter meeting of the National Railway.
Want to hold that till after break?
Yeah.
Are we just have break to
Yeah.
break, Chad?
All right.
Is it break time yet?
You going to get a break, John?
Air brakes. No bleeding air brakes here at night. Okay. We'll be back shortly. Want to say that, Brian?
Okay, you are listening to Chicago Junction on Jack FM 89.7, WRHS FM Norge, and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Wednesday, November the 12th, the year 2014. We are Jack FM 89.7, WRHS FM Norwich, and Jack Frost 88.1 FM, WXMS, Harwood Heights, Illinois. And now back to our panel and Mr. Bryan.
Okay, we're back. That was a quick
Wow, that was
station
a
stop.
fast break.
So we're seasonal. We were Jack O'Lantern last month. We're Jack Frost. And we'll be Jack Frost for a while, it looks like, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Oh.
Okay, so Illinois Valley Public Transportation Plan was initiated in early 2014 to assess, analyze, and plan for enhanced public transportation options for residents of Grundy, Kendall, and LaSalle County. So they've got this really groovy, colorful brochure talking about all the things that they've looked into for this plan, and they've come up with 2 routes for the possible railroad. They studied the operations along the CSX from Joliet west to LaSalle, Peru, Illinois, or also along the Illinois Railway, which I'm not familiar with, from Ottawa to North Illinois, where it would connect the CSX would connect the Joliet with Metra, and the one to Aurora would connect with the BNSF Metro line there. And they're probably, they figure, 10 years away from this actually happening. But they're anticipating a large growth in population west, and I can attest to that. We went out to Ottawa, Illinois for a weekend and decided to take the city streets back instead of taking the 80, and it's the closer you get to Joliet, the more congested it gets. So they do have business out there. Right now, a lot of people there are driving to Joliet to catch the Rock Island trains. The drawback of the Illinois Railway proposal is that it does not really pass through any big population centers like the CSX proposal does. So that's quite an interesting thing going on. The city of Chicago has put out a brochure. The time has come to fix Chicago Union Station.
What do they mean, fix?
Fix it. No,
Chicago.
No, fix it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it could mean a lot of things. Actually, I was talking with an author who is writing a book on the history of Union Station, and he said there was a lot of fixing going on when they built that building. Union Station, the hub of the nation's passenger rail network, it and its approach tracks is the largest hurdle in expanding service in the Midwest. The city of Chicago is developing plans for a major overhaul. The Great Hall could become the main waiting room once again, and the rat maze, and they even use this phrase, the rat maze, and the concourse could become a thing of the past. New platforms and approach tracks would allow for more trains to more places, including express trains to O'Hare. And the Midwest High-Speed Rail Association is working to ensure the plan is the best it can be. They've already helped overcome key hurdles to the design. They'd have in their little map here, they show the station itself. There'd be a new Clinton Street entrance to guide passengers directly into the restored main waiting room. The ticket counters would be moved into the Great Hall. The concourse would be expanded for more space and natural light. Now, anybody who's interested in railroad history in Chicago would know that the original Union Station had a gorgeous concourse building that was torn down and replaced with an office tower. And so now the concourse area is what it exactly says, a rat maze of hallways and stuff that is not very inviting and not very good for passenger circulation. In rush hours, it gets really crowded. So that's something really cool that's going on. And I do post this stuff on our Facebook page, so there are links to events and this sort of
Now, you said the original, your first item was like 10 years off, so it was in some kind of really early
yeah,
feasibility studies or something?
Actually, this thing's been going on for decades. I mean, they had worked on this earlier with a different consultant, and now
what do they call this now again?
It's called the Illinois Valley Public Transportation Plan. And they want to increase rail transit options for people who live west of Joliet along the corridor that follows the Illinois River and goes as far west as Peru. They are all the way to Ottawa, which would be great because Ottawa has a nice state park out there.
Is this a governmental agency developing?
Yeah, it's part. Let's see. It includes representatives from most of the municipalities, counties, and local chambers of commerce within the Illinois Valley region. The IVPTPC and IDOT will jointly lead the study and be the ultimate decision makers. The consultant team led by Parsons Brinkerhoff will be conducting the technical studies and public outreach.
I just always ask because, it seems like government takes longer to do things, and some ideas that's good, but I mean, it takes forever and it costs 10 times what it's supposed to.
Well, I don't see private corporations coming out here and doing that. So
no.
Public is the only option.
There is no money in operating passenger trains. Unfortunately, that's what killed all the passenger service and left us with Amtrak.
Well, do you think maybe that if someone, maybe I'm being a dreamer here, but someone actually promoted like a luxury passenger train with, like luxury hotel accommodations? And,
Well, yeah. You have Pullman Journeys. They're doing it now.
yeah, who's that now?
Pullman Journeys.
Pullman Journeys. Okay.
They're part of the Iowa Pacific Corporation.
Okay.
They're one of their many arms.
So there's a luxury train goes where?
Right now, New Orleans.
From New Orleans? Okay.
They also do a trip to Madison, don't they?
They did a trip to Madison in October. They ran the Varsity over 3 of the weekends. They are testing, and by next year they'll be adding finally a second route going to New York. Now they're trying to decide how they're going to do it, whether they're going to follow the route of the Twilight or the route of the Cardinal. And the cars will be painted in New York Central colors. The cars that are going to New Orleans are painted in Illinois Central colors. Plus, the corporation also runs several railroads. Saratoga and North Creek in New York. They run. They got a couple roads in Colorado. In fact, they run about, I guess, what is it, 8 short lines?
So this is the parent company of this?
Yeah, the parent company.
Pullman, what was it?
Pullman Rail Journeys.
Pullman Rail Journeys.
I looked this up on my computer if it wasn't broke down right now.
But it's on there, and yeah, they sell trip packages. What it is, they put the cars on behind the city of New Orleans. And you pay for first-class service, whether you're in a roomette, a bedroom, double, or master bedroom. They got a master bath on there. I think that's what just the overnight journey to New Orleans is like $2,400.
Yeah.
And we're talking bath and 24-hour bar. So
I mean, that's what I said. If somebody wants to spend it, and they
if you want to spend it,
you can spend it, obviously.
Let's face it. There could be arguments and talks, discussions on, no passengers. Well, some passengers actually do make money. Look at the high-speed train service. They actually do pay for themselves. Yes, Amtrak, when devised over 40 years ago, was to save what remaining passenger service we could. There's a lot of reasons for the downfall. And that's something we really don't want to get into here. Because, everybody can come up with their own versions of what happened. But,
I remember, it'll play again, I'm sure. One of these programs that Channel 11 has about Chicago and the Warriors.
Oh, yeah. You talk the Warriors, boom. Our railroads, the amount of passengers they carry.
Yeah, it was something like, I remember this correctly, something like 1,100 passenger trains come through in a day or something like that?
Yeah. Through Chicago, yeah.
Every which way.
And how many stations did you have here?
Oh, sure.
We had 4, didn't we?
Union Station. You had the what was Van Buren?
You had Harrison Street Station.
You had LaSalle Street Station.
LaSalle, that's the
Union
one.
Street Station.
Yeah.
You had the Chicago Northwestern Station.
Northwestern.
You had Randolph Street Station. You had the B&O station.
Right, Grand Central, which was also called Harrison Street.
And then, and then Dearborn.
Yeah.
There were 7 stations here.
Was there one around, I want to say LaSalle Street?
Yeah, LaSalle Street Station.
Well, it was Van Buren, right?
Well,
Van Buren and LaSalle?
Yeah.
That's the exterior of that is shown in the Sting. The interior was Union Station. The exterior, they're showing them getting in a cab outside of LaSalle Street.
That's true.
That was still there in the 70s.
But
when
you
I
look
worked
at that LaSalle Street, you look at that building in front of LaSalle Street, behind it was the station.
Hmm.
And you can see a beautiful view of it if you watch North by Northwest.
Right.
That's where this 20th Century Limited pulled in.
Pulled in?
But then Illinois, the New York Central also used the Illinois Central Station
Mm-hmm.
on
That was
some
what
of
their big four.
the Big Four, Michigan Central
Okay.
and the Big Four.
What about what is now Dearborn Park Development? What station and what was that? I think Santa Fe used to come in there.
There was Santa Fe,
Yeah.
Santa Fe came in there.
CNEI, CNWI.
Hmm.
They had a huge business going on at one time. I remember my sister. This was in the 70s. We took her to a train there. She lived in California and was like busy as could be. It looked anyway to me.
Well, yeah, it was. At that time, I mean, Santa Fe, right up until the very end, was first class.
Right.
Yeah. All the way, Santa Fe.
That's right. Santa Fe all the way. I mean, it made it into a lot of radio programs.
Mm-hmm.
The Super Chief, especially after they modernized it with the lightweight passenger cars.
Super Chief, El Capitan, right?
Right? And, I mean, I remember a Jack Benny program.
What's that?
A Christmas program. He was writing a letter to Santa. And he was sitting here reading, and Rochester came inside and says, "Oh, it's not Santa Claus. He wanted a train from Santa Fe." Because he was always advertising. I mean, that's one of the greatest routines, right?
Who remembers Mel Blanc as
Mel Blanc as the station
announcer.
attendant.
Cucamonga.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. Train leaving on track 4 for Anaheim, Azusa, and Cucamonga.
Cucamonga.
It is Rancho Cucamonga. They have a big, monument to Jack Benny out there because of that show.
And he's Illinois' owns.
Yes, yeah, Waukegan.
Waukegan.
Right.
Benny Kabelski.
And let's see, who else came from Waukegan? Ray Bradbury.
Who?
Ray Bradbury.
Didn't Orson Welles too?
No.
Where's he from?
Evanston, I think.
He was
No.
Evanston.
you
But
sure?
Ray,
Oh,
Where's Charlton
Ray
Heston?
Bradbury, yeah.
Ray Bradbury, the
Martian
Arthur.
Chronicles.
And I'm
Dan
trying to
Lemon.
remember that lawyer, is Saperstein.
Abe Saperstein?
Abe Saperstein, Harlem Globetrotters.
He was from there?
Yes.
But he went to Crane High School or somewhere here.
But
They must have moved.
He was from Waukegan.
Yeah. That's why I had a guy who was working with years ago.
Waukegan was the birthplace of the Harlem Globetrotters.
No, Chicago, really. He was here by then. Want to bet? Okay, it's the birth. Okay, Saperstein, yeah.
His computer's broken.
I know it's not.
Yeah, it is.
I know that they didn't come from Harlem
But his abacus works
No,
just
no.
fine.
They added Harlem because they were all black.
because it was the most famous metropolitan area of black people
That
in
is
America.
correct.
Yeah.
That's why they chose the name Harlem.
Right. But they were from here, local.
And who in 1951 became one of their most famous players?
51. 51?
51. Yeah, there was a college player. He couldn't. He was drafted into the NBA, but he couldn't go because he wasn't old enough. He didn't. He wasn't in college long enough. But they made him a Harlem Globetrotter because he went to Germany with them.
Okay, who was it?
Will Chamberlain,
In 51?
51.
51? No, I don't think so.
Yes.
51? That long ago?
Yes.
I was going to say
Yeah.
Chamberlain. knew
I
Chamberlain.
remember it just like when I was 1 year old.
Never argue with a chief petty officer. You never win.
You mean what you're saying is you know what you're talking about before you ask the question? Is that it? That's the trick. No, I knew he played with him briefly,
Yeah.
and then he played with, of course, the NBA. I didn't know that. I thought
Well, he got drafted, and he
drafted by the NBA, not by the. Sorry,
right.
but,
But he wasn't in college long enough, so that's why.
oh, that's
They-
right. They had those rules in existence about your class
Yeah.
and all that business.
Yeah.
and I know there was sued over a lot of that stuff.
And anyway, and that's why they had. So the Harlem Globetrotters picked them up, and that's when they made their first world tour,
Mm-hmm.
and they went to Germany.
Yeah.
Getting
Very
back,
good.
getting back to trains for just a minute.
Yeah.
My eldest went to school down at Champaign-Urbana, and she came home on the Illini coach one time, the bus, after that, every time she went to school or came home,
Train.
it was the Illini Express out of Homewood Station. It'd take her right down to Champaign, and she had a choice. She could either study or sleep.
Good choice.
Yeah. She must have done something, made the right choice, because she when she finished with a PhD.
Oh. Well, I was an honor student. in
Obviously, she got her brains from her mother.
school. Yeah. I was going to say, you guys know I was an honor student, right? You know, yes, Your Honor, no, Your Honor. So,
Yeah, let's,
but we digress.
we digress. Let's celebrate the opening of
What's that?
the Englewood Flyover.
Ah, yes. So anticipated.
Yeah.
From
The-
Create.
The Englewood Flyover, or as the NS calls it, the Englewood Fly Under.
Well,
But it's a bridge that crosses the NS tracks, freight tracks, at Englewood, formerly where Englewood Tower was and Englewood Station was, and it was. When did they start working on this thing? A long time ago.
Yep.
It was one of the projects by this organization called Create, which is a consortium of freight railroads and Metro and Amtrak trying to untangle the web of tracks in Chicago and all the delays that are caused by them. So this is one of the solutions to the problem. They have many others which they have no funding for.
Nope, they had a couple good projects. I mean, there's a couple other ones that really wouldn't cost that much, and they still haven't done it yet. Like, put tracks back in where the old Conrail tracks curved in and hooked into, like, the Illinois Central tracks. So this way, when the city of New Orleans leaves Union Station, it doesn't have to back up. They could run it straight out, run it around the Conrail, and actually make a cut right into the...
Yeah, I know they talked about using a nickel plate for a while too, that old nickel plate
Yep.
track.
But yeah, actually what he's talking about is they actually elevated the Rock Island tracks to finally go over the old New York Central Pennsylvania track. It's,
around, where is that now again?
uh,
South somewhere, right?
State Street and around State and
67th.
67th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
right.
it's just to the immediate north of the People's Gas Yard at 65th Street.
Well, I know it's south of the Rock Island Yard.
Yeah, if you go underneath the Dan
Metro
Ryan,
Yard.
if you're on the Dan Ryan Expressway and you go where at the point where the Englewood Elevated crosses over, and there's also a freight railroad bridge. That Englewood Flyover is just to the east of there.
Yeah.
As you're running north on the Ryan, you make that first gentle left-hand turn for the split there between 67th and 63rd. That bridge over your head is the flyover.
Yep.
Aha. I know that one. I thought the flyover was a little confusing, though.
Yeah, they're also talking about shifting the Southwest service trains out of Union Station into LaSalle Street Station because they have no more capacity at Union Station. Amtrak can't put anything else in there. The south end of the station is pretty much taken up by the BNSF, commuter trains for the most part, and Southwest Service and Heritage. But to do that, they're going to have to build some kind of connection between the Southwest Service trains and the Rock Island. And
There still is a LaSalle Street Station?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
still called LaSalle Street. It's in behind the Board of Trade building.
Yeah, which is at...
And it's a little tiny postage stamp waiting room. And basically it's loading tracks in a waiting room.
That's a good description of it. If you think of a postage stamp with about 12 strands of spaghetti coming out of it, running to the south, that's a really good description of LaSalle Street Station.
Yeah, because the old, like the entrance to it was like east of there, like
Right.
around, I want to say around Clark or Dearborn or over that way.
When the Rock Island went into bankruptcy, that property was sold off in bankruptcy.
Mhm.
I think it's the Board of Trade that bought it. And when they built the building, they were trying to force Metro to move even further south from where the station is. They didn't even want Metro in that area at all. They wouldn't allow them to build a station through the building, which was a horrendous mistake on a part of planning, for public transit planning. Why would you force passengers, funnel them to tiny corridors on either side of this building?
Yeah.
They could have done it through the building, had shops and stores, and made a ton of money. But no, they insisted, and Metro had to fight tooth and nail to maintain the space that they had and have a small postage stamp size waiting room placed in this building. They went to court. It was a long court battle for this.
No.
The Rock Island, when the Rock Island went into bankruptcy court, it caused all kinds of problems. Now this Englewood flyover, it's currently double track for the Rock Island, but it's got room for a third track, as they anticipate that they're going to have growth in traffic, commuter traffic.
Well, I hope they're right.
I hope so too.
I'd like to ask Brian a question. He knows a lot more about the technical side of the railroads than I do. When I was working today and I noticed bi-level stainless steel electric train cars running across 71st Street before they make the turn and go south down Exchange to where they end up over at 91st Street.
South Shore.
But these are modern cars. They're not the old
Yes.
silver and blue
These
paint
are
jobs.
these are the replacement cars. The
I-
new bi-levels.
These are the new ones.
Yes.
'Cause they look a lot like the bi-levels that they're running elsewhere in the system. So they bought these ones so that they blend in with the other equipment.
No, that's just two of the manufacturers that they got to make them.
Yeah, they based it on the shell for the suburban passenger cars for the diesel district, with modifications to include a pantograph and all the necessary electronics and equipment to operate. Each car is essentially a locomotive. They have controls in them. They have power in them. Although I understand Metro may be buying trailers in the future as opposed to buying all power cars. But it essentially it is. It's a suburban cab car, standard design.
They really looked good. They're the second best piece of equipment I've seen in the Chicago area. I'm sorry, Brian. You brought up number one when you brought up those Pullman luxury tour cars. I had a chance to see those in trail behind the city of New Orleans coming into the city about 6 months ago, and I almost caused an accident. I stood on my brakes so hard so I could watch them go by. Somebody almost rear-ended me. They're just beautiful. It's enough to bring tears to your eyes.
No, I remember when they bought the cars in first for when they were evaluating them. And actually, you'll see them running on the South Shore. The South Shore actually purchased theirs before Metro did finish the purchase price.
Yeah, but slowly but surely they're divesting themselves of those old Highliner cars. I went on a snowflake excursion this weekend for the Illinois Rail Museum. They're having two of those cars, the older cars, donated to them, and they're raising funds for shipment, cost of shipment, and for track space out at the museum. And those cars are loaded with asbestos. They can't get rid of them fast enough. Nobody wants them because of the asbestos problems.
It's
Even during the rebuilding, they didn't take care of the asbestos problem. And if you want to get a nice view of them, just go up by Lamb's Farm on the Fox Lake track. There's a bunch of them sitting there.
You can drive out to Blue Island too. They're sitting over there on the.
Oh, down the Blue Island?
Oh yeah, they're down over in
There's
the
two-
Iowa Interstate Yard.
There's two of them sitting in Kensington Yard,
Yeah.
out on the south side. I get to see them once a month.
More than two. I went by there on Sunday, and there's quite a few sitting there.
Just idle, they're not being used anymore, or what?
Yeah.
There's
That's it?
a
No,
couple.
once the new cars came in, they couldn't start taking those out.
There's a couple of them sitting just north of 51st Street, just east of Wentworth. They're sitting in the south end of the 47th Street shop yards,
Yeah, they
right across street from the second
They're
district
running out of
police
places
station.
to put them, and they can't get rid of them fast
I
enough.
know that area.
You were a guest there on many occasions.
Yeah, I was a 3-time loser. But anyway, so asbestos was still a problem places, huh? Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, those cars were built, what, in the early 1960s?
No, they were built in the 70s.
Is that late?
Yeah. Yes, if they started building them, they would have been 69. Because they started replacing them, 72? Because the first accident with them, remember, with the old heavyweights.
Yeah. Let's see, I've got something here about them. Oh, I don't think they give any dates, though. Low special. Now, what's that say? Yeah, they don't have any dates on here. They give a whole chronology. They were bought by the South Suburban Mass Transit District, formed in 1967 by 11 Illinois communities to participate in federal funds available. Subsequently, the government approved plans for a fleet of 85 self-propelled cars for use on the IC Electric. Work on the cars got underway in 1970. Car 1502, the prototype unit, was completed in March of 1971. And the contract calls for 130 Highliners to be on track by the third quarter of 1972. So there you have it. We got all the information here. Hey, before we go, I got another Santa train thing. Illinois Rail. I'm sorry, Indiana Railroad Santa train celebrates 25 years in 2014. The 25th consecutive year, Santa Claus will be coming to towns in southern Indiana and Illinois by train. The Indiana Railroad will operate its annual Santa train December 5th and 7th. Families are invited aboard the festively decorated train to visit with Santa and Mrs. Claus and to be entertained by a full cast of costume characters, train masters probably, brought to life by railroad employee volunteers and their families and friends of the company.
Oh, that's a real company, not a museum, then.
Right.
Is that it?
Right.
Is anyone familiar with a Indiana Railway, they call it now, is around French Lick down that way, or which is southwest Indiana, not far from.
I'm familiar with the Indiana Railroad.
Pardon?
Indiana Railroad.
No, this is a museum place. I sent an email.
Yeah, it's the French Lick and.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. There's another name, and I can't remember. I sent an email and got no response yet. But you're right. You'll think it when you're falling asleep today.
Yeah, I know. French Lick and.
You know what they call it? French Lick also. There's salt licks down there that the deer used. That's what that is.
If it's the place that I'm thinking of, it borders right up against a national forest. They had a short excursion line.
Mm-hmm.
We went there.
West Baden. West Baden. French Lick, West Baden.
Okay. Now, is that the place? Go ahead, Kevin. What were you saying?
And they had at the time they were using a Delaware and Hudson RS unit to pull a couple of coach cars, but they had they didn't call it an RS4. They used whatever designation the Delaware and Hudson used for it. And
is this the same one that they stage fake train robberies or something like that as a part of an entertainment for when you're riding?
They didn't do that when I was up there. They were doing that up at the National Railway Museum in Green Bay.
Wait a minute. Green Bay. That's the way they say it there. Green Bay.
Green Bay.
I always heard it called Titletown.
Which brings us.
I've heard to other rude.
Since we're right up against the closing time, it makes me a little story about one day in heaven. Albert Einstein was replacing St. Peter at the gate because Peter had a lot of chores to do. So Albert had one little hang-up. He would ask people when they come in, mind me asking, what's your IQ? So one person comes in, they're passing. He said, ma'am, what is your IQ? She says it's 252 or something. Wow. So we can talk about my theory of relativity here. And another guy comes in, he was like 196, and she said, well, gee, we can talk about, fusion. So finally, a few more go by, and he says, sir, what is your IQ? And he says, it's 55. He says, Albert Einstein says to him, how about them Packers? So on that happy note, remember, until next time, happy rails to you.
43 days till Christmas, and you tell that joke.
Go, Brian.
All aboard! Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Join us again next time when we take to our railroad of the imagination in our continuing journey through the wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Radio Network and can be heard over this station, as well as at windycityhometown.com, where recordings of all our shows may be heard. Once again, all aboard! This is your announcer, Brian Ballou. Thank you for listening. Oh, yeah, the conductor was portrayed by Charlie Johnson, a struggling young actor still in need of work.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction on Jack FM 89.7, WRHS FM Norwich, and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Wednesday, November the 12th, the year 2014. Chicago Junction was produced by Jack Ryan, directed by John DeVita. Our audio engineer is James Rohde, and radio station manager for WRHS is Kevin Zeflik. The executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network is Mr. John Shikanda. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Tuesday, November 11th. Until next time, please be safe, and thanks for listening. And we are Jack FM 89.7, WRHS FM Norwich, and Jack Frost 88.1 FM, WXMS, Harwood Heights, Illinois.